So what the process was like to get on the Brady Bunch. How did that role happen for you? How did you make that happen?
You mean the way we all became the Brady Bunch?
Better said.
So it started with an idea. You know the show Gilligan's Island? Sherwood Schwartz, same producer. He just finished Gilligan's Island and had this idea for a blended family. Late 60s, a time when the divorce rate in the U.S. had skyrocketed. Dads were gone or missing, and moms were going to work, and kids were latchkey. You know, they were hanging out by themselves, doing whatever. They were unsupervised. And the idea of finding stability again was not explored ever on television, and he had the idea to bring in a blended family to see how that would all work. To do that, they had to cast it, and they used actors to do that with, and so the casting process was long. I had 4 different meetings about that. There were several thousand kids that were involved, but there were gradual eliminations, and then part of it had to do with how we looked, because we had Robert Reed and Florence Henderson. The boys needed to look a little like Robert Reed, brown hair, blue eyes kind of thing, and the girls blonde, etc., especially because all of them had hair of gold. You know, you had to fit the lyrics, as well as the suit. So I had meetings with the casting directors, 2 of them, then one with Sherwood Schwartz, and then finally a screen test with the camera, which is how I got stuck playing basketball for the first 3, practically the whole run of the show.
Driveway there?
In the driveway with the basketball. I don't know how to play basketball. I do everything else, but you know, I surfed and skateboarded, and I played baseball, basketball. But that happened because I was doing the screen test with the camera. The prop man threw a basketball into me to see, you know, how I would, I guess, handle it or whatever. So I played with it like I knew what I was doing. And they started writing that into the show. So so there was a gradual elimination. 1968, they pulled that cast together. We shot a pilot episode where Mom and Dad get married, and in that episode, the girl's cat Fluffy gets out, and the tiger chases the cat around, and all kind of shenanigans happened. And 6 months later, we had a series, and we went on for five years.
In talking, Barry, before, you were mentioning that one of the things people want to know the most is the relationship amongst the cast. Maybe you could talk about your relationship with the other members of the bunch.
The number one question I get is, did we all get along? Did we all get along when we were filming the show? And do we get along today? And the answer, gratefully, is yes to both. We genuinely like each other, and there's a reason for that. We were going through a very unusual maturation process. We went on television. By the second year, there were literally millions and millions of people that were watching us. We were becoming recognized. But that bonding created a chemistry that I think kind of came through the screen, so that you could see, if you look, you can really see that we cared about one another. And that has extended throughout our lives. Now it's been over 55 years that we've known each other, and we still do events together. We go out to dinner together. My Brady and I had a podcast. We just finished 3.5 years of doing episodic recaps. So we were talking on a weekly basis. Eve Plum is here in New York, Midtown in Manhattan, and we see her when we're visiting. So that's been something I've been very, very grateful for. We know each other, like as a family would know each other, as long as anybody we've ever known in our lives.
Are there moments that you remember, you know, seeing yourself for the first time on television, seeing yourself in a cartoon, on a lunchbox? Are there moments that stand out to you of firsts and how you reacted to those moments?
It was very exciting in the very beginning to watch myself on television. I did a lot of work before the Brady Bunch. Some of you might remember some shows. Have you ever heard of a show called Dragnet, the FBI, The Invaders, Mod Squad, Gomer Pyle, That Girl, It Takes a Thief, Marcus Welby? I did all those shows. So I would watch those. When I started the series, I watched the first like half year, and then I stopped watching. I didn't watch the episodes. I would go to dailies, which were the film things we filmed the day before they were edited, but I didn't watch the episodes.
Any reason that you can think of?
Well, it made me self-conscious. And then I was, you come in, I'll give you an example. You come into a room and I go, hi Dad, and I go, oh man, that posture sucks. So in season 3, I go,
Hi, Dad.
and it looks so artificial, it looks so fake, and I didn't want to become self-conscious about it. So I slumped around a lot.
There's knowledge of episodes and guest stars, and maybe you could react to some of the favorite moments you have and thinking back of what you get asked most about who came on the set and so forth.
Well, Don Drysdale was big. Vincent Price in Hawaii, tying up the boys and keeping us away. We made that. Joe Namath was that was a lot of fun, especially for Florence Henderson. We had Imogene Coca, who was the grande dame of comedy with Milton Berle of the day, and I guess I liked just about everybody but Davy Jones. I was jealous. I didn't like the way Marsha looked at her.
The show starts in '69 and it's rolling along, and you were talking earlier a little bit about when you realize that it's hit, right? So you're doing it, you go to work every day, you come home, but you don't see the public as much as you would when you start to go out and do other things. Maybe you talk a little bit about going out and doing the music and what the reactions you had from fans.
I think to understand the dynamic, you all that have watched the show, you see what was produced, what was edited, records, and doing personal appearances. And when we did records, to supplement the records, we went on tour. Like any rock band. In fact, Tony Orlando was one of our opening acts. We played at Ohio State Fair, we played at the Atlantic City Steel Pier, we played at Caesar's Palace, and that's when we got out and we were meeting the people who had been watching our shows, when we began to understand the impact that the show was having on the public. So that's when that really began to happen. And when it happened big time, because there was a lot of enthusiasm.
You've gotten a lot of fan mail. When you're on the show, does that come to you? Does that go to a publicist? How does that work? Or people wrote you letters when you were doing the show? Does it actually reach you? Does it reach somebody working for you?
It's really a good question. Our technology has changed so radically. I mean, this is all snail mail stuff. And then it would come in boxes.